Sure.
All right. Welcome to the February 7th Bloom-Carroll School Board meeting. I'd like to call to order the meeting, please. Roll call, please.
And not feel stressed out about having to pass a quiz to get points and things like that. So I don't know if they're just being nice to me. All the kids tell me it's a lot better. They can just read and enjoy, the book. Thank you for agreeing with me. I appreciate that. I didn't put him up for that. So I think that's been a good thing, for the students this year in language arts too. Teachers, a lot of feedback from the teachers. The school board, Mr. Hahn, Mr. Bigham, we've got 8 sections now in all grades, so class sizes are a lot more manageable now. We've been 27 plus, 28 plus in years past, and it just seems like the teachers have given me feedback that the class sizes being where they're at, I think about 23, 24 apiece, as long as, we always worry about the growth and things like that, but where we're at, I think has been really good for them this year, and the scheduling's worked out, so I think that's been good. Math, we continue to have math intervention for all grades, so, we've all worked with kids with their math homework. It's not easy as a parent to help your kid with the math homework. They say, that's not how this teacher teaches it or that teacher teaches it, and I think our math interventions have been helpful for the students as well. We also have a lot more algebra students, as you probably know, in 8th grade. You know, we went from 2 sections to now 3 sections, and the students have shown that they can manage, you know. Ms. Johnson and I, hopefully do a good job of looking at their test scores and data, you know, looking at their grades. Grades still do matter, you know, and so see who qualifies for that, and that's been good. Today we had a science fair. Mrs. Dybel with the science club and Mr. Carter, and brought some judges with him from the high school. At least they got donuts, so that was easy.
No reason to come.
That was easy to get them there. So we appreciate, you know, our teachers working together, high school, middle school, on the science fair. And tomorrow at 6 p.m. we have a robotics competition. Mrs. Cottle, we got snowed out of the original one, which is on a Saturday, and so she's having her own competition. So board or anybody else, if you want to stop by tomorrow at 6 o'clock, it'll probably be next door or in here. We haven't decided yet. Stop by and say hi if you're around. Having said all that, I think every year we come in here, we see all these Egypt projects, and February seems to be about the time of the year they're always in here. Mrs. Butcher, 6th grade social studies teacher, she's the Egypt expert, especially after her 2-week trip to Egypt this summer. So she brought back some, and she told me this is tea, okay? It might look red, it's tea, okay? The students had the option to try tea in her class from Egypt, and I don't think they liked it too well. But these projects, you know, they're Egypt projects as part of her curriculum, and, you know, to my students, Avery and Brenner, if you want to come up real quick, I told them to, you know, just talk a little bit about their project, what they did. I learned something, definitely from Brenner first. Okay, Brenner, you can tell them what you did there.
So in case you didn't know, ancient Egyptians actually invented hockey, despite it being on ice. The original hockey ball was flat, and it was round on top because if it was all flat, because it was made out of papyrus, if it was all flat, it would be too compressed and it would hurt a lot because they did not wear any pads. So they made it rounded so that it's a little more pliable and it won't hurt you as much. And to make this, I used a towel and paper to simulate the actual papyrus and an actual hockey puck.
All right.
Good work.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you, buddy.
Avery?
My ancient Egyptian project, I researched mummification and created my own 3D mummy. The word mummification means the embalming or treating of a dead body. All Egyptians were mummified, but those who were wealthy had more elaborate burials. It was believed that mummification was done to preserve the dead body so that the souls could recognize their body in the afterlife. Because of this ancient burial process, people have been able to identify ancient Egyptian remains thousands of years after they were buried. These are reasons why mummification was so important in ancient Egypt. Although we do not do mummification today, we still use parts of the process when people die, such as removing the organs and burying the bodies in a casket. Thank you for letting me share my ancient Egyptian project with you.
That's all I have today. Thank you for your time. If you got any Egypt questions, Mrs. Butcher will
That's
answer your Egypt questions.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Thank you.
All right. And next we have the Bloom-Carroll High School Eco Summit team.
All right, so let me kind of preface this for a second. So the Eco Summit team from the high school competed, Joe, when was that? Back
November 11th.
up at the Columbus Zoo,
Yeah,
right?
Great. Yep.
And they got November 8th, there we go. They have they focus on conservation, and this group of students, they reached out to me and wanted to talk to me about that in the fall, and they have a project in mind that I don't see being an issue at all long-term. Maybe the biggest challenge might be just continuing to keep students interested and maintain their proposal. But we have some slides here that we will certainly share with the board. It's in your packet as well. But Colby Sprague, Colby, you want to wave your hand? Colby's a senior at Bloom-Carroll High School, and he reached out to me kind of as their spokesperson, and they've all have worked together very well. and on a very important topic, but I'm excited to have them. I wanted to bring them in to share their proposal rather than just put it on an agenda for approval. I wanted you guys to see the team,
Yeah.
hear from them. They did a very just great job in terms of their professional approach to contacting me, presenting, and thinking about all angles on this. So whoever wants to lead the way, or why don't you all introduce yourselves first and then get into your project, and start with Colby again. Colby?
So I'm Colby Sprague. I'm a senior here at Bloom-Carroll, and I'm the team captain for the project.
I'm Akira, I'm also a senior.
Lily, also a senior. Valerie, also a senior.
Maddie, also senior. Natalie, senior.
Mr. Carter. We're all seniors.
Better recruit some underclassmen.
Yes.
All right, so.
We did have other people wanted to, but we decided to let it be a seniors
Yeah.
list this time.
Yeah. All right, well, Colby, go ahead.
Is there, can I tell? Okay. All right, so back in November of last year, we went to the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium and participated in their Eco Summit program. So if you don't know what that is, basically teams from all around Ohio, around 30 different schools were represented. They all sent a team to the zoo, and we met with professionals and other students to get ideas for a project and how we can improve the environment here in our local community. You want to go to the next slide? So we introduced ourselves. Here's some lovely pictures of ourselves. And now I'm going to turn it over to Natalie to talk a little bit more about our project.
What is Carroll Conservation? Carroll Conservation, we are a group of science club. We are a dedicated group of students passionate about helping our environment, and we are going to create a project that will help the environment around us and the ecosystem, and we want to get the community engaged and teach them how they can help. And now Lily will talk more about our project.
So after we attended the Eco Summit, we decided we want to create a prairie garden behind the elementary school. So we really want to do this to beautify the area, increase the neurodiversity in the area, and allow for more education opportunities within the school.
As Lily mentioned, we wanted the area at the garden to be at the elementary school, and we talked to Mrs. Bachman, the ag teacher, and a representative from Fairfield Soil and Water about what area at the elementary school would work best, and they decided on the 3 acres behind and around the tennis courts. For the first part of our garden, we want to just focus on the ½ acre that's represented in this diagram over here. So the red denotes the part where we want the flowers to be, the green for a little rock garden, and everything else is for the grasses.
Now, also being said, what are the benefits? As stated before, the first one is biodiversity. Big word, but what it means is the nature ecosystem is better off with the pollinator garden, because due to local developments, a lot of natural land has been. There's a good word for this, I swear. But it will improve the stability of the environment, which is better in the long run, and also this place is a great opportunity for people to learn about nature, because this is an outdoor classroom we can use to help cultivate interest in nature.
So we want these gardens to be a space where the community, clubs, and various groups can come to tend to the plants. We want it to be an educational opportunity for the public and for our elementary students. And we plan to make this area accessible with walkways, a informational kiosk, benches, signage, and for our students at the elementary that are blind, braille signage and lead wires.
Now, we have a couple partners that are willing to help us with this. Bloom-Carroll alumni Mr. Allman, who has offered to help us with topsoil donation and landscaping. The Ag Society or Ag Club, they're willing to help build birdhouses that we'll put on the garden. And then Audubon Society, they are a restoration for habitats, and they reached out to us specifically, offering to help plant all of our flowers and stuff. So we have the STEAM Lab, who are going to make signage, and then we have NHS, we're all NHS members, National Honor Society, and we have authority figures in the group as well, so if we needed help, we could reach out to the members who are in National Society to help us. And then we have NHS, I already said NHS, sorry, we have Science Club, and that's the old one, but we have P Club members as well.
So through the Columbus Student Aquarium, we applied for grant funding. And Natalie, if you want to distribute, we have, this is our budget that we made. So everything is all covered through this grant fund. We applied and we got full grant funding, so $2,500 through the zoo. Any bumps that we might occur along the way, we're going to use our Science Club funds, as we are a part of Science Club, to help cover those additional things that might come up as we go along. And then kind of going forward, a timeline. So from now until mid-March, we're going to continue the planning process, get the birdhouses built, all those kinds of things. March to April, actually, getting down, getting dirty, and planting all the plants, and having a service day, getting our different teams involved. And then from May to August, we'll do a few more plot studies, kind of, do some sciencey stuff. And then going forward, this will of course be controlled by Science Club, run by Ben and Mr. Carter. And once we're all gone, it'll be continued by them, so there'll be someone to go to for that. So now we can turn over, do you guys have any questions or anything like that we can answer?
Pretty impressive. Go ahead.
I have a comment. I think we should it's Yakira's birthday today, her 18th birthday, so wish her happy birthday on behalf of
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. I'm really impressed, you guys. This whole process is well thought out. So when it came to the grant, did you all work on the grant together? Okay, so now you've got some experience. It can go on your resume for college. Grant writer, that's a big deal. So that's really impressive with your initiative. So
Great work. Very impressive.
yeah, it's super exciting. Can we get a picture of Mr. Carter with you behind him? And
Oh, yeah, no.
yes.
Okay.
I'll get one with just them and then one with you. How's that? All right, you guys say cheese first. Ready? Let me get that.
I want to say that this is my fourth group that I've taken Eco Summit, and they're the third group that has got a grant that we've got money for. This by far is the one that has put the most work in, and really, all of them because he has 7-period lunch, but they all have 6-period lunch, so they're in my room working on that stuff, talking about it, going over it. I've seen this like 12 times. But yeah, just very impressed with these guys because this year I didn't have to do hardly anything. Usually I'm the one kind of leading, pushing. It was all these guys. So it really is them.
That's great. That's
That
good.
is great.
All right, one.
Sorry, I got
There we go. Yep. Teamwork.
Don't trip me.
1, 2, 3. And what a testament to you that your students are able to come in here and do this in such a professional manner. Great job, guys.
Later in the agenda, there's an item for resolution to approve their proposal or not. But while we have this up right now, I just want you to take a look at the yellow area. Obviously, it's still a new site. The grass in certain areas struggles to take and grow in. It'll take several years in maintenance. There's a steep slope in that yellow area coming down towards the tennis court, and it makes it hard to grow some things. With their attention and love and care and topsoil and
Caleb Almond's help.
again, a lot of help. We think it could be a nice hillside, a pollinator garden as they have proposed. And it's not in the way of anything. It's not taking any agricultural space from our land lab from the FFA program. It's only contributing to the area. I don't see any issues with the location. There's no utilities right in that area. And, just take a lot of attention and care. And Mr. Carter has said that if it doesn't take and it doesn't go well, all you have to do is run a brush hog over it.
It'll add a little character to that area.
Yeah, it really
yeah,
does.
it's kind of
Yeah.
We're also, just to add, we're going to, I've talked with the class of Lawson Miller's class. We're going to put a bench there in honor of him. So
Aw.
he was on the tennis team.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
deal.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in. You guys are anybody, you're always welcome to stay. However, the rest of the meeting's not as exciting. And if you need to transition, if you've got things, seniors that you need to do, you can leave or you can stay. And
We appreciate everybody coming.
Middle
Thanks for
school parents,
presenting.
Kids, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we're gonna move on. Number 7, treasurer's recommendations and reports. Mr. Van.
Thank you. As we mentioned, with the meeting being the first Wednesday, the first week of the month, we'll have 2 sets of financials in March, January and February. That's why you don't have that like we normally do. But what we do have, it's not an action item, but it's always what I like to bring to the board at this time of year is to review the new tax values and rates for 2024, as shown in your packet and up on the Clever Touch. The collection on the taxes is always a year in arrears. So 2023 valuations are what's paid on your 2024 tax bill. '23 is much different than the prior year because there was no reappraisal and no triennial update that occurred last year. The only growth in years where there's no reappraisal is new construction. So you can see here, column B are the new values. Column G is the actual change. So you can see the total real estate, a little under 2% growth in the district. Public utility, the pipelines, the power companies, the gas lines and whatnot, basically stayed exactly the same. So if you look at our total valuation, all the properties in the district, it grew by 1.85%. We had forecasts about 0.89%, so very close in terms of true dollars. Impact, about a little over 100,000 additional revenue that was, as opposed to what was projected, so very close on a new construction year. Little growth means very little rollback though on the bond issues and the PI levies. So if we're still on the 20 mil floor operating, again, as low as we can get. The 2009 bond issue didn't roll back at all. It's still 2.7 mils. The 2018 bond issue for the elementary school did roll back 0.3 mils, and our permanent improvement levy stayed at 0.78 mils, again, due to the lower than, not expected, it's just lower growth based on the new construction. So the tax bills for the school portion of what we will all pay is 26.88 mils, which is about a little over 1% decrease. So again, I'd just like to show the rollback in the new rates.
And I think for those of you that have been around a while, you think back to, how do you finance bond issues? What are your options? And there's never a good one, right? Because you're increasing taxes.
Right.
But we always talk about how that millage rate rolls back with new growth and appraisals. And just to give you an idea, the 2009 bond issue, I wasn't here, I don't remember the amount, but in 2018, that bond issue, that was 4.3 mils, and it's rolled back to 3.4 now. And then the permanent improvement levy was 1.2 mils, and that's been rolled back over the years to 0.78. So, you don't collect more just because of the growth, it just spreads it out more among the new growth. So that's about.
Do you remember what the millage was for the first?
5.8.
For the
middle school, for this building, yeah.
And it's down to 2.7.
Yeah.
So collectively, altogether, it's really
Now, the permanent
no worse than it was.
The permanent improvement levy is allowed to grow with new construction, because theoretically, if you're adding new students, you're gonna need more PI. So that's another reason why it didn't roll back, just due to new construction.
That's great.
Mr. Bigum, in regards to the pipeline, obviously that was a big hit where they're protesting and bringing that to the forefront. Have you got any update for us?
It's still in the appeal process,
Okay.
and they're only paying on about 2/3 of the value that's on the tax duplicate. So it's still 300 to 400,000 less. We've flatlined the forecast, so we've absorbed it.
Right.
If it does get back to the old value, then, icing on the cake, but it's a long process.
No updates, that's amazing. Thank you.
Item B is approve appointing the treasurer as the district's designee for public records matters and direct him to attend as the board's designee a training session provided by the Ohio Auditor of State's Office. And you've heard this before, but as an elected official in the state of Ohio, you are required to or have a designee attend one of these trainings once per term. So by doing this, I can attend on your behalf. You're more than welcome to attend with me or go on your own. It's pretty dry, but again, by doing this, I'll go every 2 years, so this will cover everybody's current term, and I will provide the certificate once I've completed the training.
Appreciate you willing to step in there. I'll make this motion.
I will second that.
Motion made by Jen Sherman, seconded by Joe Abbott. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Sherman?
Yep.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mrs. Bender?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Item C, I won't read the entire, it's a really a long-winded way of saying that this is authorizing us to join the Meta Purchasing Co-op for our natural gas service, as opposed to going out and getting bids on our own.
I would make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Joe Abbott, seconded by Ron Johnson. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Bender?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
And finally, we're thankful for the following donations to the Bloom-Carroll Local School District. Thank you to the Crowell family, approximate value of $215 of books for the Bloom-Carroll Elementary School 3 through 5 library.
Thank you to the Croft family. I'll make that motion.
Sorry.
Motion made by Jen Sherman, seconded by Matt Bratton. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mrs. Bender?
Yes.
And Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to old business. We are approving the following policies for a second reading tonight. So you'll see those as listed 1 through 3 there. Any questions or comments about those second time going through?
No.
All right.
I'll make a motion on this.
Second.
Motion made by Rod Johnson, seconded by Pam Bender. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Bender?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
And Mr. Sherman?
Yes. And superintendent's recommendations and reports.
Okay, so just kind of to start off, a few things to update you on. I also added it to the content there in your packet, your electronic packet, but just wanted to take a minute and obviously recognize, you know, obviously February is Black History Month, and people sometimes will ask me, you know, what are you doing within your schools and in your classrooms, you know, to share and learn and have students learn about the history and culture of African Americans and their contributions to society. And obviously we're early in the month, but I think it's important to point out that you can't teach about the history of America without teaching about African American history throughout, just not in a month, but throughout. And it's embedded into our standards, in our social studies curriculum, and in literature, and a lot of different areas. But I wanted to share some things that you typically see being done, and there's always new ideas, but at all levels indicated to, you know, students learning about, you know, the I Have a Dream speech and different historical individuals, Carter Woodson, Dr. Williams, Garrett Morgan, Harriet Tubman. Those are just a few in grades K to 2. And you know, there's many different Ruby Bridges, Rosa Parks, Frederick Douglass. I mean, we're not limited to these individuals, but these are just some of the things going on in the building. In grades 3 to 5, they have an Underground Railroad and the role of quilts. They take a tour on the Underground Railroad. It's a virtual field trip. They read about, you know, famous African Americans and several multicultural literature pieces that are worked in to their curriculum as well. And in the middle school, some of the things being done, they dive into literature and explore works, different authors and achievements of African Americans. They read books such as Hidden Figures, and then they do presentations. They have a project called Celebrating Hidden Figures Showcase, where they find different African American historical figures that may not have been recognized for their accomplishments due to race or possibly gender, and they look at the contributions that they have made towards our country, towards progress. So they make a quilt where they kind of weave, they just show that we're all woven together, we're all part of the same thing and want the same thing. And you know, I think there's some neat things going on there in the middle school as well. And at the high school, you know, they, for example, through our English language arts classes, there's a variety of literature and poetry written about and by African Americans. We have some classes like History of Culture and History of Rock and Roll and Current Events, where they highlight, they plan lessons around different individuals. You know, they learn about the founding and history of the NAACP, famous black musicians, songwriters, artists, singers, and of course, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement. So there's a lot going on. I just kind of wanted to share some of these things that you would see in our classrooms going on, and they're all part of the standards as well. So just wanted to share that. Other information to update you on, the kindergarten students will be, as you know, the dyslexia screener. The kindergarten students will be screened in March 18th. with our map reading fluency screener that's approved by the state of Ohio, the International Dyslexia Association, and the Ohio Dyslexia Association as well. It's one of the screeners that's approved on the state list. And then we have parent-teacher conferences on January 25th and February 1st. As time has gone on over my 26 years, participation in conferences has gone way down. A couple things, in the fall, they're well attended, and when we typically do them in October, kind of right at the end of the first quarter, parents come in and meet teachers, they feel comfortable at that point. They don't necessarily sign up at the end of January or early February. Tonight on our proposed calendars, you'll see that we're going to try to move our parent-teacher conferences back farther in the spring, because they come in end of October, early November, and then we roll right back around in January. Plus, you have access to all this technology. I just got an alert tonight about my daughter and grades, and you can sign up for things on Progress Book, and you can set thresholds that if your kid gets a B on anything, you get an email. Well, that's sometimes just as important as talking to the teacher. I can go onto Progress Book and see how they're doing and see what assignments there are. So participation was 26% fill rate for January and February. Usually in the fall it's much higher, around 40%. Those numbers don't sound great, but statistically it's right on average and consistent with what we see. But we're going to try to move that spring date back a little bit. So
is that fill rate across the entire district?
Yeah.
I would imagine like elementary's probably higher.
Yeah, and I would say too, and sometimes, you get a 15-minute window, a 40% fill rate turns into about 60%, whenever the conversations, if you got a 15-minute after, these conversations are typically more than 15 unless there's somebody outside waiting too. But it is, he's right, they're kind of close together.
The Hall of Fame induction ceremony will be this Friday. There will be a reception in here beginning at 5:45. You guys are welcome to stop by, and then they'll do an introduction between the JV game and the varsity game. There are several people: Bruce Leary, Jake Lott or Justin Lott, Kyle Hauser, Bill Bradbury, Kristen Black, the 2006 and 7 state champion softball teams. And Mark Williams, our treasurer of the Boosters, is receiving the service award. So that'll be this Friday, 5:45, 6 o'clock, if you want to swing in if you're available.
Yeah, for sure.
And then PD topics, we're not limited to these, but these are some of the professional development topics for March 4th. There will be department and grade level meetings. We've heard a request to have more time to have department and grade level meetings and sometimes less trainings. There are certain trainings we just have to do, and that people understand that, but we're trying to also identify more time for collaboration among teachers at each grade level. And then we got letters training, which is a language essential for teachers of reading and spelling. It's the K-3 dyslexia training that they're continuing and starting to wrap up. You have the Department of Education and Workforce coming in to do some work at the middle school with the science of reading, continuing to look at that push, that emphasis to address reading at all levels. You have the Champions program that we've continued to work with all year regarding child abuse and safety. And then we also have middle school and high school English language arts departments continuing to look at various vendors with our curriculum director at some textbooks. They're on that 6-year rotation. They'll be adopting some new ELA resources moving forward. So that's it for professional development on March 4th. I just want to let you know, Ohio High School Athletic Association, which we're a member of, is looking to expand divisions in competitive balance sports. In football, there's like 7 divisions now. In some other divisions, in other sports, there's only 3 divisions. In basketball, you only have 4 divisions. So they're looking at expanding more divisions into potentially 5, 6, or 7, so more schools. There's a big gap between a small Division I school and a huge Division I school. You could have a Division I school with 450 you know, boys in it, and then you could have, they're in the same division, Division One, with a school that has 1,100, 1,200 boys.
Right.
Well, that's a big gap, you know, and they're looking to expand some divisions in different sports, baseball, basketball, those kinds of things. So volleyball, more divisions as well. I participated in, we've been working on this, House Bill 123 with the 134th General Assembly enacted legislation that requires schools to have school threat assessment teams at the middle school and high school level in grades 6 through 12. And we have complied with all those trainings. Our middle school, high school staff members have been through trainings on school threat assessments. We have teams in place, and you know, it's one of those things where we work closely with law enforcement, we work closely with the juvenile prosecutor's office, but Fairfield County has come together with 9 different school districts to have a set of protocol that we work with the courts and we work with law enforcement, and there's a protocol or a guideline to assess and work with law enforcement when you have a threat that was made or reported. How do you deem, you know, is it imminent, is it low, is it highly likely, highly unlikely? And there's a process to go through. But I participated along with other superintendents in the signing ceremony with Judge Vandervoort, the juvenile judge, and law enforcement. Sheriff Late was there, and that took place on January 23rd. And our middle school, high school administration used that protocol. We're expanding that even further down into the elementary school as well. In that, you know, it's not required at the elementary level, but there's some good things to certainly pay attention to in that process when you have a threat and how you work through that and how you handle it. Wanted to share the YMCA survey results. You can see on the screen, and again, it's in your packet. The YMCA approached us about using our school to offer before and after school care to Bloom-Carroll Elementary School students, to parents that would need before or after school care in grades K to 5. And we sent a survey out for the YMCA. There would be, if we move forward with this, I'm bringing in the YMCA CEO and their school before and after school care director at the March planning session to share how the program works. We've met with them once, and we will be meeting with them soon again to look at some of the fine details of it and how it would work before school at the elementary and after school, and if it would take up space that we need for practices and youth organizations, and those are things that we don't want to impact negatively. And if we can offer a place and a resource for parents to have before and after school care that are in need, this might work out certainly. So you can see there were only 91 responses. I sent it out to all K to 5 families. So not a great response rate.
That's interesting to me.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
that you didn't have more response.
Yeah, sometimes people just don't take the time to do it.
I would just think that would be kind of a hot issue.
But we sent it out through text and email, and 91 responses. And you can see the breakdown of K to 2 and 3 to 5 here. And are you in need of before or after school care? 62% said yes, 25% said no, and there's a lot of other percentages that are basically it depends. About 13% in there that it just depends on how it's structured. Which option would you be most interested in? Before, both before and after school is 47%, 19% after school care, 18% for neither. Are you satisfied with the services they currently receive, where they're currently getting before after school care? It's kind of all over the place. 33% yes, 32% no, and then there's all kinds of feedback. What cost do you think is reasonable? It's not us, we're not charging, it's the YMCA. So that's, they're trying to figure out what would be affordable, what would be reasonable. And then you can see some of the comments and feedback. It was all very positive, the people that did respond. There was one comment here I wanted to point out that, they said, I don't love the idea of the YMCA care in our schools. Everything else, I think this is a great service to offer. I have friends who use the Y Club in neighboring districts, looking for all-day summer care for a few weeks. Before care would be wonderful. Don't need it now, but when I did, this would have been very helpful and cost-friendly. So you guys can look through some of the results, but I just wanted to share that survey with you. So besides that, just give you an update. Facilities, as you know, the very cold weather in late December, early January caused some issues. We have roof inspections done. Nothing was pointed out as a major issue. We were addressing the few issues that were pointed out at the November roof inspections, but we had a huge issue above our ag classroom. We think the cold weather caused that membrane to pop and crack in some areas. They found some tears, and that, we got it repaired temporarily. They're back in the classroom. It's staying dry, so I wanted to give you an update on that. We will be looking at, we're working with an architect now on a potential project to replace that section of the roof. It's about probably 1,500 square feet. It's not a big project. And then the next item is the old Carroll Elementary, or the primary school. All the, our community uses that. Our youth organizations use it a lot for biddy wrestling, biddy basketball. They use the gym in the old open space classroom. The other part is off limits, but there were significant leaks here a few weeks ago over those classrooms. The tears just came right after the cold. Well, we noticed when it warmed up and it rained, that's when we noticed leaks, but we think the cold weather just made that material so brittle that we're looking at our options. One option is what was in the original facility plan, tear it down. But we decided not to, so the community, we heard some feedback that if we tear it down, they can't use the gym for youth sports, they can't use that open space classroom. So we decided not to. We said we'll tear it down when we get to the next project, if we ever get to another project, if we ever need another project. Well, the cost to abate and demo, continues to go up, just like everything in life. So, ballpark, we think it would be a decent price, around $450 to $500 to abate and demo, and that would be a lot. But then the community couldn't use it, so we're potentially looking at repairs, putting a Band-Aid on it, maybe an overlay on part of that roof over those old kindergarten classrooms. We've got some temporary repairs done, but we may have to do some work this summer on that. So we're working with an architect on the inspections and potential options.
So just the roof is really the only issue right now?
Just the roof.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, if
It's
you
not
don't
just
keep
the
it
roof,
dry.
but I mean, for current repairs, but just the.
Yeah, I mean, we got some temporary repairs, but this summer, we're probably gonna have to do something, or you guys might have to make a bigger decision, which would be very expensive, and then it would take that resource away.
Right.
I don't think there's a good answer. You tear it down, nobody can use it,
When was the
and
last
it
time
costs a
we-
lot of money.
Not to
So,
interrupt you,
or
apologies.
put a Band-Aid on it, get some time out of it, and the community can continue to use it for youth activities.
When was the last time we actually had to do some repairs on that?
Repairs on it?
Yeah,
The roof was installed in 2002, so it's.
okay.
It's 20 years old, and that's
20 years old.
typically what you get.
Yeah, that, why I was asking was like, hey, are we gonna have to look
And
at
if we
this
did a
next year?
Band-Aid, like
Do
an
the Band-Aid?
overlay,
An overlay gets you a
Yeah.
10-year warranty.
I was
So
gonna
it's
hope
in-
for at
okay.
least 5.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
so we'll have to talk, we'll talk about it at the planning session.
Okay,
okay.
But we're working on that. I just want to let you guys know.
Sure.
Okay.
okay.
So, sorry, that's my update. Any questions on my update? Okay.
Good stuff.
All right, bear with me here. Okay, let's move on to 9B. Under 9B, students and programs. Number 1, approve Cinderella
Yay.
as a high school musical to be performed March 21st through the 23rd, 2024. Tickets will be priced at $12 per ticket plus a service fee for online for adults and $10 per ticket plus a service fee for students and seniors. Number 2, amend the dates of the high school girls soccer trip to Sandusky, Ohio
Bless
to
you.
July 15th through the 17th, 2024. Number 3, approve an overnight trip for the high school science club students to the Franz Theodore Stone Lab at Put in Bay, April 21st through the 24th, 2024, to be chaperoned by Mr. Carter, Mr. and Mrs. Gabriel, pending completion of volunteer forms and background checks. Number 4, approve the list of 170 seniors for graduation on Friday, May 24th, 2024, pending successful completion of all coursework and school requirements. Number 5, approve an out-of-state overnight trip and the trip itinerary for the high school marching band to Orlando, Florida, November 21st through 25th, 2025. That is not a typo. They need a good year plus to do the fundraising for that trip. Okay, the boosters, and they do a lot of fundraising. Number 6, approve the Bloom-Carroll High School Summer School Credit Recovery Proposal as presented for the summer of 2024. Number 7, approve the 24-25 high school registration guide and course descriptions. And number 8, approve the pollinator garden proposal as presented tonight by the high school Eco Summit team. Any questions?
Can I change something?
What?
Can I change something? So I say, April 20th, we're gonna try to leave on that Saturday instead of the Sunday. I know we were going back and forth for the Stone Lab trip, and I don't know how that needs to be addressed, but just so it works so I can be back, try to get the kids back as much of the week as I can.
So, again, what are the dates?
It'd be April 20th to the 23rd.
20th through the 23rd.
Yeah, we've got Put-in-Bay, we got Gibraltar Island from the 21st to the 23rd.
Yeah. So let me read that again. Approve an overnight trip for the high school science club students to the Friends Field or Stone Lab in Put-in-Bay, Ohio, April 20th through the 23rd, to be chaperoned by Mr. Carter, Mr. and Mrs. Gabriel, pending completion of volunteer forms. So we'll read in that change.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions? Oh, yeah, sorry, these pages are off. We need a roll call, please, or we need a motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
All
I'll
right.
second that.
Motion made by Matt Bratton, seconded by Joe Abbott. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mrs. Bender?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
Thank you,
9C.
Mr. Carter.
Thank you.
Thanks.
9C, personnel and employment. Number 1, approve the substitute list number 7 for February 2024 as submitted by the Fairfield County Educational Service Center. 2, approve a 1-year unpaid leave of absence for Kristen Harlander Sony, the elementary school art teacher for the 24-25 school year. Number 3, approve the revised reading specialist job description. Number 4, approve the following home instructors for the 23-24 school year at the tutor hourly rate for Anna Parker for up to 45 hours and Sarah Wooding for up to 90. Number 5, approve the following request for FMLA leave of absence for up to 60 days for Lisa Corwin, beginning February 28th, and Anthony Ireland on or about April 24th. Number 6, approve the following request for an unpaid leave or doc day for Kristen Harlander Sony on March 8th in the afternoon and March 11th, 2024. Number 7, approve the following academic supplemental contracts for the 23-24 school year pending completion of all pre-employment requirements as presented. These are all for the musical Cinderella, as presented A through G on your agenda. Number 8, approve Alexander Schuster, advisor with UCA, to serve in an advisory role to the high school cheerleaders and coaches pending verification of background checks. Number 9, approve the following athletic department supplemental contracts for 23-24 pending timely completion of all pre-employment requirements for Joe Sarsfield, tennis coach, Jeremy McKinney, weight room supervisor, and Robbie Cawthorn, 7th grade baseball. Number 10, approve the following athletic department supplemental contracts for 24-25 pending timely completion of all pre-employment requirements for Brian Moore, varsity boys golf, and Jeremy McKinney for the summer weight room supervisor. Number 11, approve the following athletic department volunteers for the 23-24 school year pending completion of all pre-employment requirements for Carter Amol. And number 12, approve the school list of volunteers for the 23-24 school year.
Just curious, Mr. Hahn, because I'm a cheer dad.
Yep.
What is number 8? When is that for?
Yeah, so, when the girls, Ohio High School doesn't govern cheerleading.
Right.
They don't technically recognize it, so they cheer at football games, they cheer at basketball games. But the girls in the coach, they've competed typically in a cheer competition, which the Ohio Association of Secondary School Administrators actually, long before my time, kind of started running a cheer competition for girls cheerleading.
Right.
And a competitive squad can go do a routine and perform choreography, and they compete. So a lot of cheer coaches will bring in UCA, Universal Cheer Association, to work with the coach and the team on like a performance, and they work with the kids that way. Now, our coach is still there, our coach is the one coaching, but this individual comes in, and anytime I got people working with kids, I want them background checked and.
So the same thing from a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, yeah. So,
Perfect.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Joe Abbott, seconded by Pam Bender. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Abbott,
Yes.
Mrs. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman.
Yes.
okay, 9D, contracts and agreements. Number 1, approve a resolution card authorizing our membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association for the 24-25 school year. And number 2, approve a satellite program unit agreement with Eastland Fairfield Career and Technical Schools to operate the middle school career connections course for the 25-24 school year. It's standard to, if you guys want us to participate in Ohio High School, like all schools do, we need to
Right.
approve that. And that will abide by their bylaws and guidelines. And then number 2 is, we've had this for a couple years, we have a career connections class in our middle school, which introduces 8th graders to all the different career fields at the Eastland Fairfield Career Center. We are required to provide career tech experiences in the middle school. We do that through ag, family and consumer science, career connections. So kids can start thinking about the career paths before their sophomore year when they have to decide if they're gonna go to the career center. Eastland Fairfield provides the teacher. We don't pay for the teacher. We only provide the classroom space, and we get to schedule all the 8th graders in there. It's a great thing for us. It's a class, and we're not paying for the teacher, just they use our space.
Right.
So,
Sound good to me? I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Jen Sherman, seconded by Rod Johnson. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Sherman,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Abbott,
Yes.
Mrs. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
okay, 9E, resignations and retirements. Accept the resignation of Christy Bachman, high school teacher, effective at the end of the 23-24 school year.
Can we accept this with depression?
I know.
This is such a loss for our district. I just want to go on record saying
Yeah,
that.
her daughter has graduated. She's been thinking about this. It's a
I
good
know.
transition. She wants
She's
to
just a
spend
real
some-
asset to our community.
Yeah.
in our
She
schools,
stays
so.
very busy with the apple farm.
Yeah, I emailed her as soon as I heard. I
Yeah.
was depressed.
Yeah.
Hank's devastated.
We
So-
did get the job posted very early. She did this to
Okay,
help
good.
us.
Right,
It's hard to find ag teachers
right.
and don't have very many applicants. I think like 4 or 5.
Well, hopefully we'll have
Yeah.
a decent replacement. All right, I'll make this motion. Heavy heart.
Second.
Motion made by Jen Sherman, seconded by Pam Bender. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Sherman,
Yes.
Mrs. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Abbott,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
and Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
All right, moving on to new business. Let me pull this up, sorry. Hearing for the proposed 2024-2025 academic calendar.
Okay, so just a reminder, we're required by revised code to hold a hearing at least 30 days before we adopt a calendar. I don't like our negotiated agreement. It's not the end of the world, but if you do it on a year-by-year basis, the association doesn't have to provide calendar dates until February 1st. Then you're not, if you get lucky, you're bringing it to a February meeting, then you're adopting it in March, and a lot of families are already calling. A
They're
lot of
already
teachers-
asking.
A lot of teachers are
Yeah.
saying, when can I book my summer,
Right.
how far into the summer can I book my vacation? So, long story short, it requires me to provide known dates by November 1st. I did that in August of '23. And then they have until February 1st. They got it back to me in mid-January. So the 24-25 calendar, that's the first one we're gonna look at here. We have multiple years that we're proposing, holding a hearing on tonight. I think it's easier to look at it on the actual calendar template. Pretty standard, there's not a lot of wiggle room. So people ask, well, what factors go into the calendar? Number one, our teachers are contracted for 185 days. So are our classified staff. So it has to add up to 185 work days. You need professional development time in there. There's all these trainings and things that we have to work on to make our teachers better and benefit our students. You don't want to, there's a minimum number of hours Kindergarten students have to go to school for 450 hours. We offer all day, so they're more than doubling that. Students in grades 1 through 6 have to be in school for 910 hours a year. Students at the grades 7 through 12 have to be in school for 1,001 hours per year. We are exceeding that with our 185-day calendar. 185-day contracts are pretty standard for teachers in Ohio, right around 183, 184, 185, somewhere in there. This calendar, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room. Dates and calendars are pretty much the same every year. It's how early do you want to start or how late do you want to start? And there are things like we have to provide work days. So we try to have like 5 professional development days. There's a work day where teachers don't have meetings, they just get to work at the beginning of the year. There's a work day in the middle that's part of our collective bargaining agreement. There's a work day at the end of the year where they get to wrap things up and finalize grades. So right there, between 5 PD, 3 work days, there's 8 days, and then you have to comp the teachers because they do parent-teacher conferences 2 evenings in the fall and 2 evenings in the spring. So there are 2 comp days right there, and you have to build that into the calendar. Long story short, there isn't much change, pretty consistent in August, starting on a Thursday and Friday for professional development. Monday's a PD day. August 20th would be a teacher work day. Students start on the 21st. I always like a little bit more traditional start. A lot of schools start about a week before us. The problem is our high school does not have air conditioning. The gym, the hallways, the cafeteria, we don't have air conditioning in those areas. We have a couple Mitsubishi split units in our cafeteria, but it can get pretty toasty in there. And in fact, when you have freshly waxed floors, because we don't have LVT in our high school, we have old tile, you wax them, and then you get a lot of bodies in there, you get humidity in there, and the rooms are air conditioned with window units, you then get condensation on the inside of the hallways along the blocks, and it runs onto the floor, and people slip and slide. The less we can be in school in August in Bloom-Carroll High School, the better.
Right.
Okay? A lot of people don't realize that. Plus, August is the second hottest month of the year, if you look at the data. I'd rather be in school late May, very, very, very early June, than be in school in August, to be honest with you, at Bloom-Carroll. If every building was climate controlled and every area was climate controlled, then that would be great. Our middle school and elementary, this isn't an issue. It's an issue at the high school.
Right.
So that's why we kind of look at that 3rd week of August, a little bit more traditional start. You get to September, we have a PD day. You get to October, you got the county fair. We have kids in 4-H at K-12. We have our high school ag kids that go. The other schools that have ag programs in the county, Fairfield Union and Amanda, they take off the whole week.
Right.
We have an ag program, we take off 3 days. It's a good balance, I think. But we do typically 3 days for the fair because we have a lot of teachers that have children that participate, and we have a lot of parents that have to take kids down to the fair as well. November, you have a comp day before Thanksgiving, and then you have Thanksgiving break. December, you have your winter and Christmas break. You roll into January, you got New Year's. Typically there's about a 2-week break there, and you have the end of the semester, you have a teacher work day, you have Dr. Martin Luther King Day. In February, you have President's Day. In March, we try to get a PD day because there's some things we have to do in the spring as we're planning for the next school year and training for staff. April, you have a spring break typically built around the Easter holiday, and you have the comp day that kind of extends spring break. And then in May, you have Memorial Day on the 26th, and that's kind of nice when you can hold graduation it worked well on a Friday evening, and then you have Memorial Weekend, and then you come back and you have grades 9 through 11 that have their exam schedule at the high school, and we need 3 days of exams. So you would have, after Memorial Day, you would have exam, makeup exam day, and then you have a teacher work day, and we're done on that day. That adds up to 185 days, very consistent with what was proposed by the teachers. Sometimes when they make proposals, there was one calendar for 26, 27, and it didn't add up to 185 days. So it's not always easy to just add a day here or there, but they're contracted for 185 days, we all need to be here and working on those days, so.
The parent-teacher conference is pushed back to
Yeah.
Yeah, I
yeah,
saw
so-
that, March.
Yeah, where'd I put them?
6th and the 13th.
Yeah, March 6th and 13th, rather than at the end of January. So, any questions about this calendar?
I like the idea of pushing that back because it's such a small window, and if kids are struggling with assignments or whatever towards the end of the year,
Right.
It's a great idea.
The last 9 weeks makes sense.
Are teachers on board with that?
This is on the conferences?
Yes.
It was their request, and we were all in agreement.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. I think
Yeah,
that's smart.
yeah. The 25-26 calendar, honestly, pretty much the same thing here. I'm not gonna go over it in that detail, but it's kind of the same start. I'll start on a Wednesday, 3rd week of August. PD in September, fair break in October, Thanksgiving break November, 2 weeks at the holiday. End of the semester, teacher workday, Dr. King Day, President's Day in February, PD in March, parent-teacher conferences on March 5th and 12th. April, you have a comp day to extend spring break. Spring break would be 3 days. May, you have Memorial Day falling on the 25th. You have 3 days of exams at the high school. You have our end of year awards and checkout day. All right. And this last one was a little bit trickier because August 1st fell on a Saturday. So it gives us a late start. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people don't realize, but our administrative team, besides me, Travis, high school principal, technology, we're the only ones really 12 months a year. We're here in July, we're here in June, we're here in August. Our building administrators are only on a 215-day contract. So that's 30 days more than our teachers. It's 15 days after teachers and 15 days before. Well, their contractual year starts August 1st. That's when the new contract year starts. So they would not show up till August 3rd. And then the question is, you only have 5, 6, 7 days to get ready. That's really hard to get everything ready. Now we know they come in and work
Anyway.
So
what's the solution there?
Well, honestly, additional, changing those contracts at some point in the future to 240, 11-month contracts with
Or 15, just say 15 days before the start, no matter when the start is.
So, looking at this calendar, again, they proposed 183 days, not 185. So this isn't exactly what they proposed, but they did propose starting the 13th with the welcome back and the professional development day. The other option is if you start a week later, bring the teachers in on the 20th, you end up going to school on like June 4th, and that's a little bit late. So you can see this calendar starts a little earlier in August. It's 1 year. We'll get through it. We'll be okay. I just said I like to keep the kids out of the building as much as I can, but the teachers had proposed this option. There were 2 options, one with this start date and one a little bit later, but starting later just bumps us back too far. The other problem is, look at May. May 31st is the last Monday of the month, and that is Memorial Day. So if you come back, you're going to school on June 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and then the teacher workday on the 4th. Because Memorial Day falls on May 31st, that kind of bumps you back. Not crazy about this calendar, but I've had a million eyes on it, a million ideas, and this is kind of this will line up with other schools.
Yeah.
We'll start when other schools start.
The only thing I think of when I looked through that and we met with them was go the 21st and 22nd, get the break before Christmas break, right?
Yeah, at December, to come back and go the 21st, 22nd.
Which would give you the 2 days in August.
Even 23rd.
Third, right?
But with the elementary teachers, with the little ones, they're like, we need 2 weeks because they're so wound up about the holidays. And I'm here anyway. I'm going to be working anyway. It doesn't really matter to me. But this is not my favorite calendar. Just because of where Memorial Day falls, and that August 1st falls on a Saturday, so it bumps you back to the 3rd for a start date. So.
But I think they're happy because they're done by
Memorial Day. They're done before Memorial Day.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, so that is it for
Okay. So we read it now and then that's the hearing and then it'll be on the agenda for March?
Yeah, there's no voting tonight on
Okay.
that, this is just a hearing. And
Gotcha.
then we will post these for 30 days, and then.
That was my next question, just on the website
Yeah,
or what?
we have a
Because
website.
people are gonna ask.
Yeah, see it.
Okay.
And then we'll recommend, the next March 11th.
To approve it.
We'll ask you guys to approve it.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions? All right. Number 11, board reports and information. Facility management. What,
Well, I just kind of told you what's going on.
I know.
The
I mean,
roofs,
I was gonna say-
ag roof and old
Okay,
primary.
perfect.
Yeah.
Personnel?
We have a meeting Monday.
Okay.
Some update next week.
OSBA.
No significant updates. The only thing I was gonna recommend with Mrs. Bender is, are you getting the updates, like some possible classes and stuff? It's a good resource. I saved some to forward to you.
I
Email
get them
me.
in my
Okay.
email,
I just wanna make sure you're receiving
Yeah.
that. There's some good, like, spring ones coming up that might be useful, so, it's the spring session, and then obviously we'll be starting to hear back from the, planning for the fall session already.
Crazy. Policy, we don't have anything on PDQs, anything?
Nothing new right now, we should be getting it soon.
Okay. Safety?
That is, May or April, we have a meeting. I'll get that date.
And finance.
Good for a while.
Look at you on three.
Okay.
Impressive. All right, upcoming PTO Booster Board of Education meetings. We have, let's see. On February 12th, we have the athletic boosters at 7 p.m. here in the middle school cafeteria. On February 19th, there's no school because it's President's Day. On March 4th, we have the teacher PD day, which there's no school. And March 5th, we have the elementary PTO meeting at 5:30 over in the elementary media center. And on March 11th, we have our Board of Education meeting at 6 p.m. here in the middle school, and also the athletic boosters at 7 in the middle school cafeteria. And at this time, we'd like to adjourn from regular session to go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. Time is 7:07.
I'll make, we don't get a vote.
Oh, sorry. Who made the motion, Matt?
I'll
Thanks.
second.
Motion made by Matt Bratton, seconded by Rod Johnson. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mrs. Bender?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes, that needs fixed.
Yeah. Threw me off a little bit.
The next couple need fixed on the list of names. Okay, still 7:07. Sorry about that. I gotta use this new,
Format.
yeah,
I know,
it's
gonna take
killing
some
me,
time.
man.
I like it.
Just not used to it.
Yeah.
It's backwards. Is the mic off?
Oh, sorry.